It's the 702 Gaming Podcast, episode number 17. It's me, Jacob, and Jason.
Yep.
Josh is out, but we're hoping to catch him on one of the next ones. So, what up, Josh, if you're listening?
No, we'll catch you all right. I'll get you one of those.
Do you
I'm
listen to
serious.
our podcast when do you listen to our podcast when you aren't on one? Do you
Yeah.
I know you do the editing and everything, but do you sit and enjoy
Yep.
listening? Yeah,
The
me
reason
too.
I do, I mean, a part of it is, the past life of me being a video guy, being a video engineer. So I kind of want to see the work that we did. Um, I do
If it's
more,
up to snuff.
yeah, and then I critique myself, because I'm doing the editing and all that stuff. I will watch it more on YouTube because I'm a video guy. Um, and if I just happen to be in the car, I do listen to it on Spotify, but more times than not, I'm listening to it while it's playing on YouTube.
Nice.
Yeah. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah, I usually have because I have an iPhone. It usually just your phone turns on when you get in the car and it connects,
Right.
and so it'll just auto start playing and it did that just today, and it was funny. It's cool to listen back through me, you, and Josh talk about our stuff because you kind of forget,
Right.
and I got to be careful. Like you critique yourself, and it's like when I confessed about sleeping pills with my wife and drugging her.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's incriminating. I got to be careful.
It is. And it's out there in the ether forever. So,
Yeah,
you know,
I
um,
tried to delete it, but it didn't let
and
me.
I got backups. So, yeah,
Yeah.
you're in trouble forever. Uh, but the good thing is she's safe now.
Yeah, she's fine.
She's safe. And that's really what
Yeah.
matters. Yeah, no, you definitely can get into a mode of critiquing yourself. I'm a perfectionist, I think, by design. So I'm doing that anyway without the podcast. So it's kind of cathartic, though, to
Yeah.
kind of hear something that we completed and you're like, all right, I feel that was good. The thing I really critique myself on is the retro bites, the solo ones,
Yeah.
because I actually end up doing a lot more content than what I actually put out. I'm condensing it down into 5 minutes, but there's a lot more stuff on there. I'm like, I should have added that, or why did I add that? You know,
So you're
um,
saying they'll just keep getting better and better.
that is the plan. That's the plan.
Yeah.
And you know what? I do what I want to do, and I do it because I love it. And when you love something that you're doing, you know,
It's
you
worth
can,
it.
yeah, it is. It
And I
is.
like watching those videos too, so please keep them coming. I like
Yes.
it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Speaking of things that we might like to watch, might not, Nintendo Direct was a few days ago, the
Yeah.
Nintendo Direct event.
Yes, it was.
There was some cool stuff, I'll say, presented, but I know something. Well, I'll hand it over to you. What did you think?
So there were a couple games that, I think it's kind of high time that Nintendo adopts AAA games from other developers. I understand the control that Nintendo has always wanted to have over their platform. I get that, and I understand why. Um, Back in the 80s when we had that crash because of, Atari just kind of shoveling out crap back to back to back to back, it caused the crash. And I know everyone thinks it's ET, that horrible game, but it was, shovelware. So when Nintendo kind of took the reins, they're like, we want to do it ourselves, our way, make sure we put quality out there. And that sounds good until you remember what the Wii was. And that was a system like full of garbage, a lot of it, not all of it, right? So when I see Nintendo now, they still have that mentality of, we're going to keep it all in house. So every once in a while, you'll see a game that you didn't think would be ported over, but the majority of it is Nintendo IPs, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but the gamers who grew up on Nintendo it's us now. All right.
Yeah.
So, the thing that comes with that is maturity. Not that I need blood and guts in the games. I'm not saying that, but we would like to. I know the system is powerful enough to do certain things, and I don't necessarily continually need a Mario or a Kirby or so, you know what I'm saying? I don't necessarily always need those to be the IPs. I get what they're doing, but when you take a look at, you know, PlayStation's showcase, or Xbox or Steam. If you look at those, you're like, wow, there's a lot of innovation there. And to me, Nintendo always feels like they play it safe. That's my major
Yeah,
problem.
it is interesting you say that. I never thought about it like that, where pretty much anyone that owns multiple consoles, though, they end up feeling like they need to buy a Nintendo because everything that Nintendo makes is only Nintendo. I mean, everyone has their first party games. I'm not talking just first party, but it's there's a lot more exclusive games on Nintendo,
Hmm.
and that's because of the way it's a handheld or it has lower specs. So they're like, oh, we're just shooting for this.
Right.
Um,
They make it
yeah,
proprietary in a way that we accept, where we're like, well, of course, yeah, you're going to have that on this system. And I
and they
want to play
definitely
those.
they aren't shooting for, obviously, like, okay, the gamers that grew up with us on Nintendo, they're going to have that one console in their house. If they choose one, it's going to be us,
Right.
because most of the time, like I said, it's a secondary unit or a kids unit that
Mm,
buys the Nintendo, right?
right.
Like a PlayStation owner will have also the Switch, an
Right.
Xbox owner will also have the Switch. It's not really, that's interesting.
It is, right? And again, it's not that I feel like all they're doing is kiddie games. It's not that.
No.
Because I'm a big kid. Like if we were to list the amount of cartoons that I watch from my childhood, right? Like I am a big kid, but I don't know. I know that it works for them, but it doesn't. I feel like it's getting to the point where it doesn't work for me anymore.
Yeah.
You know, the other thing that they did, which is like it's all over Twitter right now, where everyone's like, "Oh man, they're bringing the N64," and I'm like, "Okay, I know what they're going to do. They're going to give you what? They're going to give you Mario Kart 64. They're going to give you Super Mario 64. They're probably, I mean, they're probably not going to do the F-Zero, but I know that they're going to give us a bunch of crap after that. I know it's going to be tennis and Mario 64 golf. I don't want a bunch of throwaway titles, and I definitely don't think that we should be paying any more for that service. It's a premium service, they're saying. So you're offering a
Right. It should
premium
be
service.
included.
It
It
should be
should be.
included. It should be included. And yes, I know that it's cheaper, what is it, $20 a year to be online. But guess what you can't do? You still can't talk to each other online without having your cell phone and like
Yeah.
the app. And it's like what is that?
Yeah.
What is that?
When we got the Switch, maybe like a year, 2 years ago, I was surprised when it said, okay, sign up and pay. I was like, for what? So that I could download games that I'm paying for? I mean, I'm not really playing this online,
Right.
but
Right.
there's is there a free service that you can do that?
No.
I don't think so. Yeah.
No. I mean, if you
Yeah.
want to
There was a
play
few
off,
things I was locked out of that made me pay. So I just ended up paying for it.
you can't, obviously you can't update the system, which for the hackers out there, they don't want to do that because they want to be able to, jailbreak their system so they can apply ROMs and whatnot to it. And I get that. But paying $20, sure, it's just $20, but it's also $20,
Yeah.
right? So you're paying this $20 to not be able to communicate with each other online. Like when me and my nephew play Mario Kart, he's in Utah, I'm here. How are we communicating with each other? Like there is something that they do, which is it's weird. I think it's the right analog stick. If you push it like a button, it makes like a little clap. So you can direct people if you need to in a game by clapping like over here, clapping over. What is that? I and you want me to pay more money to play, a couple of N64 titles. I'm cool on that. And I know that they're releasing a couple Genesis titles also. The only thing about that that's cool is you're actually going to be playing Sega on Nintendo. Like, who in my childhood would have ever thought, right, that you would be able to play Sonic on
Right.
Nintendo, right?
On a, yeah, on a OLED TV or on a 75-inch OLED or
Right.
something. Yeah,
That's
it's
going to be
crazy.
wild. But yeah, I'm good on that.
I'm
And
sure it'll work for some people, but for us, like I agree. I don't think that works for me. And it's not even like, oh, here's a Nintendo version of Game Pass where it's just like, wow, this deal is like killer.
right.
It's like, here's more money to play older classic games.
Hmm. But
I guess the only advantage is that we know Nintendo would charge you a full, 40 to $60 to bring that back
yes,
again.
yes,
So I guess you're avoiding that.
you are. I feel like they're they're kind of avoiding what everyone wants, which is a mini Nintendo 64.
Right. Yeah.
Right? People want that, the Nintendo Mini and then the Super Nintendo Mini. Those sold very well. Even though I feel like they probably purposely created their own, oh, we don't have enough systems to go around. I think that they did that. That's what it feels like. But everyone wants to have the Nintendo 64 Mini. I think that'd be great. Um, this is the next best thing for a lot of people. But for me, like I said, I can't I can't chat with you at this point in video gamedom. That's like a very basic thing. When you're
Yeah.
paying per year so that we can play together, we
Yeah.
need to have communication.
Yeah.
And we don't have that, but you're going to make us pay more so that we can play, Altered Beast on the Switch. I think that's
Yeah. Because there's some Sega games coming to it too, right?
yes. Yeah. Oh, and now I'm saying all this, and I know it sounds like a big complaint, which I guess it kind of is, but I'm okay with that. We have no idea how much the additional cost is going to be yet, but if it's $10 more, I don't think so. If it's like $3 more, maybe, but there's no way to communicate with each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
That just I don't know. That's mind blowing to me at this point that you can't do that. So
Yeah. That is definitely a bummer. I will have to say that if they bring back other retro games from other generations, specifically just Seaman, I'll pay.
mm. Well, I feel like just you paying for that because it just be you.
Oh.
It probably won't, they won't recoup the money that they're putting in
Ah,
to
man.
emulate that. I don't know for sure
All right.
though. I don't know
Okay.
what their R&D is, right? But
Yeah, their
yeah,
research and development on
right.
a 4K Seaman.
I
Oh.
don't want semen in 4K. I don't need that. I don't need that. If you do, hey,
I
absolutely.
know one of the cool trailers that they showed was for a new Kirby game.
Mhm.
And do you know the Kirby's name? The game? Name of the game?
Oh, I was gonna say I know who Jack Kirby was, which is where the Kirby name comes
Yeah.
from. He was their
Uh-huh.
he was their lawyer.
Yeah, that was really cool
That's
info. I
awesome.
saw that. Yeah.
Um, but I don't know what it honestly looks like Kirby 64.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I like that.
That's what it looks like to me. So that's what I'm gonna call it until
So
I see
Kirby
the name.
64, I know my son's really excited. He's a Kirby fan.
Yeah.
And we watched the trailer and everything. It looks good. I
Yeah.
mean, for a Kirby game. Um, it's interesting though because they're like you said this with the 64, they're kind of going the open world route, which worked for Mario 64 for a lot of people, and
Yeah.
I think it was cool, especially for the time it came out. It was pretty awesome
Right.
technology.
Right.
Um, but how do you feel about open worlds? Because let me tell you how I feel.
Okay.
I feel like an open world game is like a convertible car. Okay. Now you got someone like Rockstar that designs their convertible from the ground up. They know it's going to be huge.
Right.
They have the staff for it. They know they're going to make $1.2 trillion
About
on
that,
this
yeah.
game.
Yes.
So, yeah, so they hire 60 million employees.
Mm-hmm.
They take about 19 years to make each
Yes.
sequel.
Yes.
They do it right.
Yeah, that is the
And the
right
games
way.
and the games come out showing how much work they put into it, how much time and money and everything into it.
Mhm.
Their games are the best open world games, hands down. Tell me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I'm not.
Yeah,
Uh,
you're not.
okay.
Unfortunately, you're not. Oh, I'd love to fight with you right now, but
There's
you're right.
things about the Rockstar games I wish were different. Like I wish they had more like first person games and things like that. But as far as the open world, it's the best.
Right.
So as soon as you get into your like, you know, the third iteration of your PT Cruiser, and they're like, "This is the best PT Cruiser we've ever made. It's convertible." Yeah, well,
PT's
it,
nice, man. It's an
it
interesting choice of car.
yeah, they have those in
Yeah,
convertible, and it's horrible.
and
I mean,
purple
you're
too.
taking a car that's not designed for the convertible, and if you know about cars, they don't handle as well.
Mm,
They just don't do as well as a car that was designed to be a convertible. And just throwing that convertible on top of it doesn't make it any better. In
yes.
my opinion, it actually makes it worse because now you got this top that dries out in the sun.
Mm,
It's already a PT,
yeah.
you know.
That's really my whole issue with it is
Yeah,
the
it's already a
make, but
PT. Now it's got like crumbly leather falling off the
right,
top.
right.
Yeah, it's just a whole bad look.
Right.
But so that's usually what they try and pull on games. It's our largest and biggest game we've ever made. It's our most ambitious, and it's like, what's the difference? It's
Mm,
now open world,
right,
and it's like, did you
right,
spend more time on it because it's open world? Do you have like twice the staff because the game's twice as big?
right.
But why is it the same? I'm sure they do some hiring, but come on,
They have
they aren't
their core
spending the
team.
money and everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they've got their core team and they're gonna roll with that.
And so what happens is you get the same game, but now it's open world, so they have to spend all their time doing this huge map,
Hmm.
how to get you back and forth on your quest to run back and forth 20
Hmm.
times the same direction. Um, and you don't get all that fine detail that a linear game gives you. I mean, there's
100%
things.
agree.
Okay.
100%.
So yeah, and in a linear game, I just love, especially in like a first person game or even in a third person, how they can, with the linearness, kind of know what you're about to do.
Hmm.
And so without you feeling like they're taking control, maybe your character jumps or, falls off a building and you have to catch yourself. And
Hmm.
they can do that things because it's scripted.
Hmm.
Open world, it's Rockstar can figure it out. Rockstar has done scripted things in the open world, and that's what impresses me.
Hmm.
Otherwise, it's just a big open basic world. It's that PT Cruiser driving down the road that I'm like, why'd you buy that?
Mm. Well,
You should.
again, you should be like that anyway. Um, so, like, to be honest, like everything you said there, everything you said there is correct to me. When I think of my first open world experience in a game was when I played the original Far Cry Part One, and it's linear. You know, you're nudged to do certain things. There's a few different ways that you can kind of accomplish things, but you're nudged along.
Hmm.
Once it got to part two, which I think is in Africa, because the game is just brown. Apparently,
Yeah,
everyone thinks Africa is just like
yeah,
brown.
it was
It's
just a
brown
brown game.
people, right?
You're right.
But
It
it's
was,
like the game was just like
yeah,
sand everywhere. But
yeah,
it was more open world and it was boring. It
yeah. It
was
wasn't
so
Far Cry the
boring.
sequel. It was Far Cry Sepia.
Exactly. It was nothing
Yeah,
but that sepia tone through the entire game. But that was my first experience, and I was like, I bought this because I wanted another crazy Far Cry 1 experience. It's over the
yeah,
top and there's mutants and all this stuff. This one, you get to the point where you're just driving. And I'm like,
yeah,
I do that in real life. Like, I
yeah,
don't want a real world simulator.
yeah.
And that's what it felt like to me. And now if you move past, obviously that was years ago. You
Well, what
move
about part three? Because I feel
um
like part three they did a great job.
Part three was a great game, right? But I still feel that you were nudged along.
Hmm.
It wasn't, I mean, it's open world in the fact that it's a big place that you're not really exploring, to be honest, right? When I think
Yeah,
open world, you're exploring. You can, hey, let's just go there for,
yeah,
we're logging on tonight. We all got 4 hours. Let's just travel west. Like, I
yeah.
don't want to do that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Get out your compass, guys.
Right. I don't want to do that. I know some people do, and that's cool. But for me, there's something about a linear story that showcases the talent. Okay. So, for those movie buffs out there, and I do think that this director he's a good director. but he had a couple hits and misses. M. Night Shyamalan. Like the
Mm-hmm.
reason that I discounted him for a while is the surprise ending. Okay. The hardest part of a movie to write is going to be that climactic ending that everyone's like, oh man, the payoff was crazy. Thank you. I'm so glad I went on this journey. Okay. Open world games to me is the same thing where you bail on the hard part, right? If I just say, hey, you're a good guy, there's bad guys here, someone took your daughter, go get her back. And that's the whole story. Like, I don't want to make it up as I go along for everything. Okay.
Yeah.
Certain games do it well where they have it's like an AI director, like Left 4 Dead, right? Very linear game, but each time you play it, you're like, God, why are we doing that? Why are we, okay, I guess we're going this way, right? It's forcing us to go here. The new Aliens game does that as well, where, you're grinding through, we keep dying. What is going on right now, right? Let's run it back. Run it back. You're like, are we going the wrong way? We didn't do this last time, right? Very linear game, but those little things that kind of, push you along your way, I like
Mm-hmm.
that. With
Yeah.
Dungeons and Dragons, I think they're called the dungeon master who
Right.
creates the story as it's going
Yep.
along type of thing.
Yep. To make
So,
sure it stays interesting.
exactly. And
Yeah.
you're right, Rockstar has the ability they have so much money that they're able to say, yeah, you guys will get the next when it's done. And we're like, okay,
Yeah.
because we're
We'll
still
just
playing the
wait.
other one actually.
Yeah.
So, right, I'm still
Yeah. For
playing that.
19 years.
Right. So, but not everyone has the ability to do that. So, just to bring it back to Kirby, um, when I think of Mario 64, I don't think of that game as necessarily an open world game,
Mm.
but it was vastly different than Super Mario Brother on the 16-bit, Super Mario World. Completely
Yeah.
different game,
I
right?
would almost say they're more like open stage games
Yeah. Like there's
because you do go through stages, don't you?
you do.
Still,
There's still
but they're very
stages.
open. Yeah.
There's I mean, like that introduced me to like a hub world type of thing.
Yeah.
You go in here and go to this door, and now this takes me out this way type of thing,
Right.
right? So, but it's still, yes, you're right. It was still more open world than the traditional,
Mm-hmm.
2D plane where your mission is to march to the right, right? So,
Yeah.
do I think Kirby needs to have that type of game? I can't say yay or nay because I do like Kirby. I think he's a cute character and he looks like gum. I just want to chew him up, right? Um, but at some point, isn't that just kind of what Nintendo makes?
Yeah.
That's what I think. I think all of their characters are in games like that now, which is why the new Metroid Dread, I'm like, oh, hey, it's not
Something
that type of
different.
game, right?
Yeah.
Like, thank you
Yeah.
for having a
That
2D
comes out
game.
real soon, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It's
Real
the
soon, I think.
it's the fourth today.
Yeah.
So I
I
think
think this week.
I think it's this week or
Yeah.
next, one of them.
Yep.
So, you
You'll have to
know,
let us know how that is.
yes, I'm excited for it, even though I haven't been able to beat part two on the original Game Boy yet. Like it's reminding me of Metroid.
Yeah.
That's what it's doing. Where I'm like, do I have to draw a map?
Hey, you might have to go old school on this.
No, man. I don't want to
You're
have to
drawing the
go.
map as the dread monsters chasing you
Right.
through the
Got
through the
attacked
level.
here by Metroid, killed him, survived, moved on to the right. Like, it's bad, man. It's bad. And the things that you kids won't have to worry about, with this, with the Switch handheld playing a game like this, is the sprite isn't so large and you're not so zoomed in, to it that as you're moving right or left, where you're like, oh, I encountered an enemy just out of nowhere, had no time to react because there's no draw distance there
Yeah.
at all. So,
Super zoomed in, and those old Game Boy screens are like
oh yeah, yeah.
2 inches.
So it's a little screen. So
Yeah.
I'm having a good time though. Having a good
That's
time.
cool.
So isn't I think they did Bayonetta also, right? And a
I
Monster World DLC.
Yep. Yep. You're right.
So what do you think about Monster World? Have you ever played them?
I jumped into the one that you're talking about, the newest one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually not huge into most Japanese games that are very Japanese like that.
Hmm.
It always looks really interesting. Like I love their monster designs,
Hmm.
the artwork and everything. I love on
I'm
Monster
I'm with you.
Hunter.
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
with you.
And so it pulled me in and I started playing it and I'm just like, I just can't get into it. It's just
Yeah, same.
disconnect between cultures, I think.
Hmm.
Like even when I play through Final Fantasies, I might enjoy the game, but like their humor, I just don't get it.
Hmm.
You
Yeah,
know, like I remember the one the black guy on one of the one of the Final Fantasies got of course he has an afro,
of course.
you know. Yeah,
Yeah,
they give him the afro.
of
And
course. I'm
like one
rocking
of
with
the
him right now.
jokes what yeah, of course.
That's what we
One
do.
of the cinematics like a was it the chocobo like
Hmm.
chick or something like pops out of his afro and
Hmm.
everyone laughs and I was just like was that really
Yeah,
supposed to be funny
it's
because I don't get
hilarious.
it.
It's
I mean it's the
hilarious.
same when I watch the English version of The Office. I just don't get the English
Right,
uh comedy either.
right.
So I think it's the same with in a game with the Japanese stuff. It's a lot of like dialogue that's usually written that you have to read through.
Hmm.
Just the look of the UI is usually similar and the gameplay is usually similar.
Hmm.
And it just doesn't usually grab me. So unfortunately,
It's,
I
I
can't say every Japanese game I don't like, but
Yeah, a lot of
you
them
know,
I do, but I'm with you too, though. I think that, you know, obviously we're gamers, and I think all gamers can attest to this, because it's not a slight at all against uh, the video game culture, you know, the Japanese video game culture or the American video game culture, or the European. Um, but there are cultural differences, you
yeah,
know, like from video games to cartoons to films, like you said with The Office. Like I'm a big Dragon Ball Z guy, and anyone who has seen Mr. Poe in Dragon Ball, if you look like me and you see that character, like there's a hushed silence that falls over the crowd. You're like,
yeah.
wow, that's it's real. Yeah, that's happening. That's really happening right now.
Yeah,
So,
there's a huge push in especially in the Western uh you know countries for inclusivity and all this in games and
mhm,
not portraying people a certain way.
right.
But I don't think that's hit that area yet
You
because
know,
it's always for some reason they always have the main character as usually a white guy with
yeah,
blue eyes
yeah,
and he's supposed to be gorgeous or whatever.
right.
And then the girls always, you know, got
They always have the same exact look. There's always like a schoolgirl thing going on, which is like super cringe to me. I'm like,
yeah.
whoa, this is
Yes.
awkward. Like,
Yeah, the Sailor Moon look.
all right,
Yeah.
like, whoa. So,
And then yeah,
I mean,
any black people in there, they're
yeah,
unfortunately doomed to be like something with music.
it's a caricature
Yeah.
of, but honestly, we're no different over here because we do the same thing.
Yeah.
Like I talked about in one of the other podcasts, man, fighting game, cool. Hey, here's a black character. Oh, he's a
He's
boxer.
a boxer.
Like, cool. I bet you know what? Hey, Balrog, Street Fighter. He's an awesome character and a viable character to use if you're going to do turn like all those cool things. Cool. Hey, there's a new fighting game coming out. Hey, there's a black character in there. He's a boxer also, completely different game. But I mean, it's Killer Instinct, right? So it's okay. Let's just play it,
Yeah, it's
right?
fine. It's
It's
fine.
fine. It's fine. So you know, uh, it- just to go back to Street Fighter again, there's an Asian character, Fei Long. I mean, he is literally Bruce Lee,
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
literally Bruce Lee. That's who he is. Even though it's more of a paying homage to him, but still though. So we've got our own work to do. We got our
Yeah.
own work to do too.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. And I think this whole podcast has been just vent. I think I'll name this one the vent.
hey, I like it. You got to do
Yeah.
that sometimes. So
Hopefully, if you're listening, you agree with us, or if you don't, let us know
yeah,
if we're wrong on the open world, or if the Nintendo Direct stuff was cool to you, or if you're excited about those games coming to their live service. Let us know. Hey, I
yeah,
wanted to give a shout out to Deschutes Brewery in Bend, Oregon. I ran into some of their reps and they hooked me up with a bunch of swag. So I'm repping their hat. I told them on the podcast I always
nice,
wear a hat. So they mailed me a hat, shirt,
nice.
all kinds of stuff. So
I
if you
like
like
it.
IPAs, yeah, drink Deschutes, man. It's good.
I like it. This guy is swagged out. Shout out to Nintendo, even though I trashed you. You sent me this Mario shirt, and it fits. So thank you. I can barely breathe in this thing. So,
Yeah.
uh, but yeah, definitely let us know in the comments. So we appreciate all the comments that we get. We got our regulars, and we love you guys. Thank you for hanging out with us every single time. Um, New, old, doesn't matter to us. Let us know what you think.
Yep. All right, Jason, let's get out of here.
All right, man.